Hello makers! Now in the past I've mentioned that almost 80% of the prints I do are in PLA, even for customers. So having a PLA only machine is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if that PLA only machine performs really well. Today I'm going to review the Tevo Michelangelo. Stick around. The Michelangelo is the latest addition in the Tevo lineup of 3D printers. It boasts a print volume of 150 by 150 by 150, which is not necessarily too small, but not exactly large. It comes fully pre-assembled, as seen during the live unboxing I did on this channel. The frame is very sturdy metal sheet. It also comes with extruded aluminum rails. It runs on an MKS Gen version 1 mainboard, has assisted auto bed leveling. It comes with inductive sensors as limit switches in order to increase accuracy. It comes with a Mark 8 hot end set up through a Bowden extruder with a clone Titan attached to it. It also runs untethered via SD card, but obviously you can also run that through PC. Marlin is also the firmware of choice for the Michelangelo, and since it's now been made public, it also abides by GPL. As I mentioned, the printer comes completely pre-assembled, and all you need to do is simply plug it in and start printing. I did a live stream a few weeks back with the Tevo Michelangelo. Everything went exceptionally well. However, to be completely honest, I wouldn't expect anything less from a PLA only machine. During the live stream, I did a test print that came on the SD card, which no one could figure out what it actually was, but it turned out it's a sample print you use in order to determine if there is any salmon skin effect on the prints. However, I have to say the print quality was quite exceptional. And after the live stream, I continued printing quite a few samples. I created my own profile on Simplify 3D, and I went ahead. It took a while to tweak in. As a matter of fact, I printed the steamboat model, but one of the chimneys kind of collapsed because I didn't set the extra start distance correctly, but I let it finish anyway, because I felt that the print quality, apart from that little issue, was actually quite good. I also printed the Moa head and the articulated elephant, which printed exceptionally well without any support. The reason why the Tevo Michelangelo can actually cope with overhangs very well is the fact that it has two-part cooling fans facing each other on each side of the hot end, making overhangs much more simple to print. Once those tests were done and I dialed in the filament, I decided to print something in TPU. I kind of overdone it. I went to print a very complex model in TPU, which unfortunately failed. It was printing really well. However, there was no supports on these parts, so it wasn't printing very nicely at all. Actually, it looked hideous, so I decided to stop it and try to print something more reasonable in TPU. So I printed this, and it printed extremely well. It works fine. It does what it's supposed to do. Layer adhesion was spot on. Bed adhesion I'll get to in a little bit, which was still very good on this. But other than that, yes, it can definitely handle TPU. Next, I wanted to print something a bit complicated, so I decided to print this T-Rex skull. It turned out exceptionally beautiful, I have to say. This was printed at 150 microns. It took quite a while to print. It was printed in Filamentum Ivory Extrafill, PLA. However, this was not the first try. As you can see here, I have quite a few failed prints. It wasn't the fact that it wasn't printing right, it was still printing perfectly fine. The problem was bed adhesion. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't aware that the top of the build plate that came stock was actually the print bed. You don't need to use tape. I was using tape. And by the time I realized that, I think I kind of ruined the top of the heat bed, or of the build plate. So I was struggling a bit to have everything stick to it. It kept on lifting from the sides. As you can see, I have those, I have more here, This is another part that failed. So I was struggling quite a bit with bed adhesion, but eventually I found a way. I was using rafts in order to have very good adhesion, and that printed exceptionally well. Next, I wanted to print something even more complex, something with a lot of supports, because I tend to be quite scared of supports, but I wanted to delve into it. I didn't want to worry about fixing where supports should go and everything, so I decided to print this Michelangelo model right here. Now, obviously, if you have a Michelangelo and you can print a Michelangelo, well, you print Michelangelo. This model prints in several different parts with a lot of supports. It's a model by Sanix. It printed incredibly great. I honestly could not be more pleased with the result. Parts connected together easily, obviously with a bit of glue just to stick them together. But other than that, extremely happy with the result, and I have to say quite impressed, because for this kind of machine, this little machine, this is exceptional quality. Finally, I needed to stack up the hours. I had done probably about 100 hours so far, so I decided another 100 hours of 3D printing on this before I do the review would suffice. So I decided to print Cheshire Cat. This is a model by Steve Salomon. It prints in a bajillion different parts and requires glue to put it together. It was printed completely in polyalchemy elixir filaments, and I am so happy with the results. The only issue I've had with this model is the fact that once again on the edges of the print I had a bit of lifting. Now unfortunately it only occurred to me halfway that I had some My Pale poly sheets lying around which I could have used. As a matter of fact, I eventually put one on and that solved the issue, but most of the print was done by then, and I have to say that the results were quite impressive. I honestly, I couldn't be happier with the result. Now, I was supposed to do the review probably about 2 weeks ago, but I had a few orders come in, and they were PLA orders. So I ended up using this for quite a bit, and I ended up racking about another 150 hours worth of customer prints for it. So it definitely is a reliable machine. It produces incredibly good quality. So I'm definitely happy with the way the machine performed. There are a couple of things which could have been done better. They're not a deal breaker, very little things, but could be a little bit annoying. The first thing is the assisted auto bed leveling. When it goes to home on the front left corner, you end up finding it a bit difficult to level the bed, because the screw that adjusts the height of the bed actually ends up lining up exactly on the stepper motor with the belts underneath. So it's a bit fiddly to actually level, but not a deal breaker. Secondly, it's the lead screw holder. There is a bracket at the top which Neris had suggested to me that I remove, and I completely agree with it. It restricts the lead screw quite a lot, and the lead screw is not there to actually guide the Z-axis. It's simply there to lift it up and down. It's the rails that are there to guide the Z-axis. So removing that would give you a much smoother print. And finally, as I said, the bed adhesion, I think they possibly could have used a slightly better top surface, because I did have difficulty getting things to stick on it. It's possibly just the machine that I had, because I've seen people actually have no issues whatsoever with it, but I've seen others that do have the same issue. So I think that's something that should be worked on. Apart from those little things, I think it's a great little machine. $200, not too cheap, but then again, build volume is relatively decent at 150mm cubed. It does have to compete with machines such as the Ender, the Creality Ender 2. It does have a heat bed. The Ender 2 does have a heat bed, and it has a slightly larger build volume. However, I have to say, in terms of print quality, this probably is a little bit better than the Ender. And I've spoken to Tevo, and they have confirmed that they will be doing sort of like an additional add-ons, well, just add-ons for the Tevo Michelangelo in order to attach a heat bed to it. And to be completely honest, I don't think it would be that much complicated to get a small heat bed and an external power supply. you could easily sort that out. But obviously having a kit officially from Tevo that would turn this machine into any type of material machine would definitely be a bonus. As for Tevo, they have generously, very generously offered to give a Tevo Michelangelo away on this review. So I will be leaving links in the video description to take part in the contest for a Michelangelo giveaway. And as for this machine right here, well, this is going to be signed and be sent off to one of my patrons who have been supporting me so much even when I don't upload so much, so I'm forever thankful for them. Only the ones that have been a patron of mine before this episode are eligible to enter the, well, this particular machine contest. As for the ones being supplied by Tevo, well, you're all eligible, so just check the links in the video description. Disclaimer as always, guys, Tevo sent me this machine right here in order for me to do an unbiased review. Everything I said and my thoughts are my own based on this machine right here. So experiences may vary with every machine as it is known. So it's very important that you do your research. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I want to also thank my absolutely awesome patrons for their generous support. They keep this channel afloat. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always, happy making, guys.